got it like on Wednesday, I think so. No, before.
Okay.
Or did you send it like
I sent it
last
earlier.
week?
No, but it was earlier. I think it was Monday. I sent
Okay.
it. Or Sunday or
Because
Monday.
you're not going to be here like Tuesday.
I know.
and
No, what I'm referring to this week.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I sent also an email about next week.
That was the one that I saw.
Okay, because I sent you and Gerardo
Okay.
emails on Sunday or Monday asking to. But anyway, whenever we miss class, see me about rescheduling.
Okay.
So, how are we doing?
Yes, the only thing that I already sent you like 4 different instruments, like 2 for students and 2 for teachers. The simplest is the one for the interview.
Okay.
Because it's just like a guide in order like for the interview, like to ask the students about situations in the classroom.
And you received my feedback for those?
Yes, from the video. Like the only problem that I'm having is like the rubric. I really don't know what to include in
rubric for
the observation to the teachers, like error correction.
Okay.
It's just like I don't know what to include in the rubric. Some of my classmates told me.
Did we talk about this last week or no?
No.
No.
The rubric no.
Okay. What I'm suggesting is to do a very simple observation sheet where you have a heading and underneath. So the heading here, you're going to include the name of the university here. If you have a logo, you can include the logo. But then you're also going to include information about independent variables for your study. So the teacher's name, any information about the group, maybe the time that they meet, the level of the group. Yeah. So this would all be part of the heading here at the top. Then below that, I would include 3 aspects: time, activity, and description. So I would break down each class into chunks, into small sections. So you're going to create or add a time, a beginning time. So let's say that the teacher begins with a roll call at the beginning of the class, and it takes 5 minutes. So you write a starting time and an ending time. When they finish with that activity, then you write down here your time, activity, and description.
So even if it isn't related like directly with my observation, for example, the roll call attendance, I have to include it.
Yeah, because you don't know at that point when something is going to come up. Now, it's probably not likely that the teacher is going to do any error correction and during roll call. But and if that's the case, with roll call, probably you're not going to have much in the description. But this kind of gets you started here, and then you start. But you do know that they started class and nothing happened here. That's the point too. So then you start they start the next activity. And let's say that they do a warm up. They show a video or something. Now the activity, you can call this whatever you want. You can call it a stage activity. You can use whatever wording you want, but it's just a phrase that you would call it. Whatever you think makes the best sense is fine here. And then the description is where then you're going to write everything you see. What does the teacher say? What does the teacher do? What did students say? What do they do? And you're just trying to write down as much as you can. If the teacher writes something on the board, you write down right on board, and you write down specifically what he or she writes on the board. If the student asks a question, try to your best to write down what the question was. If you happen to miss something, it's fine because you're also going to be recording the class. But the idea is that you complement your field work, your field notes, with the recording later, and you have more information that you can analyze and analyze and use to prepare later for your interview, for example. Okay. So for the guide, all you need is the heading and then just one instance of these 3 here, and then I would leave the rest of your page blank because you're not going to know how much space you're going to actually need for the description. The rest of it you're just going to write out here. Okay. If you do it manually. If you do it on the computer, well then you can it's different, but yeah. But either way, this is one way that you could do it, and you could use this then to prepare for your interview. Okay. So what else? Have you uploaded anything to Google Drive?
About the instruments?
In method section. Remember that the method section and the instruments need to be uploaded.
No, I just have it like in Word, so I'm going to upload it today.
Okay.
The method section.
Okay. What else? Do you have any questions about the method section, about what to include in the method section, or
only the instruments, or do I have to include anything else?
The method section. It's 500 words. There are 3 sections: participants, instruments, and procedure. I uploaded a video earlier this week explaining in detail what you need to finish for this week. But essentially, it's completing the method section, and so just keep the headings the way they are. We're going to have a level 2 heading for participants, a level 2 heading for instruments, and a level 2 heading for the description.
Okay. With that plus the instruments. Right,
and so the procedure, you can write in the past tense even though you haven't done it yet. The idea is, in the procedure, is to lay out the steps that you took to collect the data. How did you apply each of the instruments? What was the order? And so on. That's what you want to include in the procedure.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll need to have it in the past tense, but obviously you haven't done it yet. So go ahead and write it in the past tense if you want to. If you want to write it in the future tense now and then go back and change it later, that's fine. But for May 23rd, when you finish your final draft, you will need to have the procedural section in the past tense.
Okay.
And it can be in the first person. So first I applied the teacher questionnaire. Then I applied this. Now, the instrument section, which actually comes before the procedure section, present the instruments in the same order that you applied them. Yeah. Now, be careful not to mix, because this is a common mistake. Students tend to mix or include in the procedure. They include in the instrument section the procedure. So don't talk about when you apply the instruments in the instrument section. Just talk about the instruments.
Just like explaining the purpose.
Explain. You say you're going to start with the teacher questionnaire. A teacher questionnaire was used to determine the 2-3 participants for the study. This instrument consisted of, in general, just talk about it, very general. In addition to the teacher questionnaire, an observation sheet was used and described. And finally, an interview guide was used with different types of questions. And then in the procedure, so in the instrument section 2, when you first mention each instrument, you need to include in parentheses at the end of the sentence, see Appendix A, see Appendix B, see Appendix C. Each appendix will be the instrument that you're talking about. So, for example, if you apply the teacher questionnaire first, the Appendix A will be the teacher questionnaire.
Okay, at the end of each description of the instrument.
Well, yeah, if you use, let's say you use 2 sentences, or you need 2 sentences to describe your teacher questionnaire, include the Appendix A in the first sentence. So it's the first sentence first time you mention it in that sentence. And then you don't have to say see Appendix whatever again. You say it one time and then that's it.
Okay, so the 500 words for this, the method section, and in the section of the appendix, I have to upload the instruments.
That's right. That's right. And there's no reflection due for this week.
Okay.
So that's kind of the idea. When you write out C Appendix A, it's in capital. It's capitalized. So capital S for C, capital A for appendix, capital A. The appendix at the end of the document are on separate pages. So I think I included a page break in the template, but in case something got weird there, make sure that each instrument is on a separate page. Okay. Even if there's space, because you're going to have space, for example, on the observation sheets.
Mm-hmm.
So in the observation sheet, just make sure that you have that space, right? So you do a page break and go into the next page. Mm-hmm. So let's see what else. Does that make sense about the
Yes.
method section, those three sections, and the appendix? If at any point you make changes to the interview guide, or you make changes to any instrument or any procedure, that's fine as long as you always go back and update it in Google Drive.
Okay.
So try to get in the habit of being, when you make those changes, to remember to go back, because sometimes, we forget, and we just want to make sure that it's always updated in Google Drive. And it's very likely that something's going to be different, whether it's an instrument or the procedure or both. It's very, and it's common. Right now, we're trying to plan as much as possible. And the idea with the procedure section, and the idea of doing it now, is that so you hopefully will have spoken with the participants of your study, and you need to plan and talk to those. This is not just for you, this procedure section. You need to talk with each participant, the teachers, and come up with an agreement. Say, okay, when can I observe your classes? And schedule the next 3 weeks or so. We got about 3.5 weeks for data collection. Now's the time to talk to each teacher and plan those 3 weeks to the best that you can. And so that, because things come up sometimes, classes get canceled, or so you really want to try to plan and work very closely with each teacher to make sure that you are both in close communication, that there's no misunderstanding, and that you don't make trips to turn out, later to find out that they don't have class, right? Because that's wasting your time also. And so make sure that you try to plan as best as possible. Things do come up. Some things are unavoidable, but you want to try your best to plan as much as you can so you can avoid as much as possible those cases. Okay, so it's very important that you talk with the teachers and that you're in close communication. So if something comes up, maybe they can call you too. Say, look, don't come tomorrow. Can you come on Thursday instead? Or things like that. So that you just don't waste your time going back and forth. Also, make sure that any schools that you observe, make sure that you don't need permission. Or if you do need permission, make sure that you have the proper written permission. Okay. All right.
Okay, about the observations and yes, mainly observations. How many do you think it will be like?
Well, how many participants?
Two.
Two. And so I would start with 3 each, 3 classes each, and see how much data you're getting. Okay, and then you can decide if you need a few more or if you think that would be sufficient. And we're going to be, talking, and obviously each week. And so I want to hear about the data that you're collecting. I want to know how you think, what type of information you're getting. If you think it's answering your research questions, right? And we just want to make sure that you get enough information to properly answer your research questions. So I would start off thinking about the 3 and see how that goes. Okay?
Okay.
Anything else?
No. Can I just take a picture?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.